If I told you there was a town in America that disappears from the world every night at exactly midnight, would you believe me? In 2024, a YouTuber and urban explorer named Ryan Miller heard rumors about a mysterious place in the Nevada desert. According to old maps, the town was called Black Hollow, but there was one strange problem. It didn't exist in any government records. Curious, Ryan decided to investigate. He packed his camera gear and headed into the desert. By evening, he arrived at the town. Everything looked normal at first. There were old buildings, quiet streets, and even a few people walking around. But when Ryan stopped to ask an elderly man for directions, the man gave him a chilling warning. Leave before midnight, or you'll stay here too. Ryan laughed nervously, assuming it was just another local ghost story. Then he glanced at his watch. 11:47 p.m. And suddenly, the old man's warning It doesn't seem so funny anymore. Moon, desert. Ryan thought the old man's warning was just a joke. He turned on his camera and continued walking through the town's empty streets. But a few minutes later, he noticed something strange. The entire town had gone silent. The people who had been walking around moments ago were gone. The shop lights had all gone out. Curtains dropped over the windows at the same time. It was as if the whole town was waiting for something. Ryan checked his watch. 11:58 p.m. His heart began to race. Then, somewhere in the distance, a church bell started ringing. Dong, dong. With every chime, the air grew colder. Ryan pointed his camera toward the church, and that's when he saw her. A little girl standing in the middle of the road. A white dress, bare feet, head lowered, moving at all. "Hey!" Ryan called out. But the girl didn't respond. The time on his watch read 11:59 p.m. Ryan slowly began walking toward her. When he got only a few steps away, the girl lifted her head, and Ryan's blood ran cold because she had no face. Where her eyes, nose, and mouth should have been, there was only smooth black skin. Ryan stumbled backward in horror. Then the church bell rang for the 12th time, 12 a.m. And in the very next second, the entire town began to shake. Buildings dissolved into fog. The streets started disappearing. The sky turned completely black. Then Ryan looked at the screen of his camera. What he saw nearly made him drop it, because the camera showed that he was no longer standing inside a town. He was standing in a place that didn't seem to belong to the human world at all. And behind him, someone was standing there. Someone visible on the camera screen. Ryan's throat went dry. He slowly looked back at the camera screen. On the screen, a tall man dressed in black was standing behind him. His body looked human, but his face was completely swallowed by darkness. The most terrifying part was this. When Ryan turned around to look behind him, there was nobody there. He looked back at the camera screen. The man was closer now. Ryan's hands began to shake. "What is that?" he whispered. Then a faint voice came through the camera speaker. "Don't turn around." Ryan froze. The voice spoke again. "If you see him, he'll see you." Suddenly, the camera screen began to flicker. For a few seconds, old videos started appearing. But they weren't Ryan's recordings. They belonged to different people. Someone's hands were shaking. Someone was running. Someone was crying. And in the final frame of every video, the same black figure appeared. Then, a date flashed across the screen. October 18th, 1987. Then another. June 3rd, 1999. Then August 14th,
2012. Dozens of dates, dozens of people, and every recording ended abruptly, as if the person filming had never returned. Then, one final video began to play. This time, an old man appeared on the screen. The same old man who had warned Ryan to leave the town. He was staring directly into the camera. Fear was visible in his eyes. Then he spoke. "If you're watching this, I failed." Ryan stopped breathing. The old man continued. "After midnight, Black Hollow doesn't disappear from the world." A few seconds of silence followed. Then he whispered, "The world disappears from Black Hollow." Ryan nearly dropped the camera, but the worst was still to come. Because at that exact moment, the black figure standing behind him on the screen suddenly smiled. And for the first time, two glowing white eyes appeared in the darkness. Then the screen went black. And from somewhere behind Ryan, a voice echoed through the darkness. "I've seen you." Ryan's body went numb. Slowly, he turned around. But there was nobody there. Only darkness. A darkness so deep that even the beam of his flashlight seemed to be swallowed after just a few feet. With trembling hands, he picked up the camera. The black figure was still standing on the screen, but now it wasn't smiling. It was pointing directly at Ryan. Its long finger was aimed toward the old church in the center of town. Then words suddenly appeared on the screen. "The truth is buried there." And a moment later, the display returned to normal. Ryan took a deep breath. He had a feeling that if he tried to run now, he might never find his way out. So he decided to go to the church. The old church stood in the exact center of Black Hollow. Its walls were cracked. Its wooden doors were half broken. The moment Ryan stepped inside, he felt that the air was even colder than the rest of the town. Hundreds of old candles filled the room, but none of them were lit. In the center of the church stood a massive stone cross, and beneath it, an iron door, a door leading underground. Ryan pulled on the handle. To his surprise, it opened effortlessly. A staircase descended into darkness, deep, ancient. And from below came a strange whispering sound, as if dozens of people were speaking at once. Ryan began walking down. With every step, the voices grew clearer. A few minutes later, he reached a massive underground chamber, and what he saw there froze his blood. Thousands of photographs covered the walls. Every photo belonged to a missing person. Some looked recent. Others appeared to be centuries old. Then, near the bottom of the wall, Ryan saw his own photograph, the exact same picture he used on his YouTube channel. Beneath it was a date, June 24th, 2024. Today's date. Ryan stumbled backward. How is this possible? Then he noticed something else. Written across the wall in large letters were the words, "The names of those he sees are written here before they arrive." Ryan's heart pounded in his chest, because at that exact moment, he heard footsteps behind him. Slow, heavy, and very close. He turned around, and for the first time, the black figure was standing directly in front of him. It was no longer trapped inside the camera. It was really there. But the moment Ryan saw its face, he screamed. Because the figure's face was his own, only decayed, rotting. and its glowing white eyes shone through the darkness. Then the thing opened its mouth and spoke. "I am you." A long pause. 7 days
Ryan
from
stepped
now.
back.
This is impossible. But the thing smiled. 7 days from now, you'll take my place. It pointed toward the wall. There were hundreds of photographs hanging there, and in front of every single one stood the same dark figure. The Black Hollow needs a new guardian every 7 days. Suddenly, Ryan's phone vibrated in his pocket. A message flashed across the screen. If you want to survive, leave the town before sunrise. But when he saw the sender's name, his blood ran cold. Sender, Ryan Miller.
Ryan sprinted out of the church. Another message appeared on his phone. "Take the western road. Don't look back." He started running. In the distance, he could see the town's exit. But then he heard hundreds of footsteps behind him. Curiosity got the better of him. For just a second, he looked back, and his heart nearly stopped. The entire town was walking toward him. Those same glowing white eyes stared from every window. Then the final message appeared on his phone. Running with every ounce of strength he had. The town's exit was only a few steps away now. But the moment he reached it, his heart sank. The exit was gone. Where the road should have been, there was only endless darkness. Just then, another message arrived from future Ryan. "You can't escape the Black Hollow. You have to destroy it." Attached to the message was a photograph. It showed a stone door beneath the old church. Carved into it were the words, "The first guardian sleeps here." Suddenly, those glowing white eyes lit up behind Ryan, and hundreds of voices whispered in Ryan
unison.
returned beneath the church and opened the stone door. Inside was an ancient chamber. In the center stood a black coffin. Carved into its surface were the words, "The one who created the town is the only one who can destroy it." Ryan slowly lifted the lid. Inside lay a skeleton, and resting on its chest was an old pocket watch. The watch hands were frozen at 12 a.m. Just then, a message arrived from future Ryan. "Break the watch. It's the heart of the Black Hollow." But a second later, another message appeared. "Don't break the watch. I'm lying." Both messages had come from the same phone number. Ryan stared at the screen in disbelief. One version of his future was trying to save him. The other was trying to stop him. But which one was telling the truth? Ryan stared at the watch. One message said, "Break it." The other said, "Don't touch it." He realized something. Future Ryan never wanted the cycle to end, because if the Black Hollow was destroyed, his existence would be erased as well. Ryan picked up the watch. Instantly, the entire chamber began to shake. Those glowing white eyes emerged from the darkness. Hundreds of voices screamed in unison, "Don't do it!" But Ryan smiled and hurled the watch onto the ground with all his strength. Crack! The watch shattered, and in that very moment, the entire town screamed. The streets split apart. The church walls trembled. Every window shattered at once. And the white eyes began to vanish, one by one, into the darkness. For the first time in centuries, Black Hollow was dying. The moment the watch shattered, all of Black Hollow began to collapse. Buildings turned to dust, and the glowing white eyes started disappearing. Ryan thought he had finally ended the curse. Then a message appeared on his phone. "You have set us free." The sender was, the first guardian. Suddenly, Ryan understood the truth. The watch was never the heart of Black Hollow. It was its prison. The next instant, the town vanished. Ryan woke up in his own home. Everything seemed normal. But when he looked into the mirror, his blood ran cold. His eyes were completely white. And written across the wall were the words, "The next town is yours." If you enjoyed this terrifying journey, subscribe to Mr. Nightmare 2.0 and become part of our growing horror community. Sweet dreams, if you can sleep.